Hello and welcome back to Grim Survival. I hope you're all surviving today. If you're not, how are you watching this video? Are you a zombie? Don't be a zombie. Don't be the zombie guy walking around, trying to eat people's brains. That's just not cool. Alright, so today's video is going to be about economic collapse, the possibility of economic collapse. If you believe if I believe it's possible, I believe it's possible. Well, I don't believe it's really possible. I believe it's already happening, personally. But that's just a matter of my opinion, or the opinions of people who are genius mathematicians. But, who cares what they think, right? So, economic collapse, is it possible? Most certainly. I mean, if you research it at all, if you've done any kind of research, and you probably have, I think economic collapse is one of the main things that people prep for. When you talk to preppers, economic collapse is either the number one or within the top three. So, yeah, economic collapse is pretty thought of, and people research it and study it all the time. So, if you have studied it, you know that all the economic people, the geniuses in the colleges and whatever, if you believe anything they say, I don't, but whatever, and all the mathematicians and all that, they all agree that economic collapse isn't a if, it's a when. It's just a matter of time it's going to happen. And if you've studied history of other countries that have gone through it, and even recently countries that have gone through it, with all the crop failures and everything like that, you can obviously see that we're heading for something, and economic collapse is pretty much the top of the list of what everybody is looking at. It's probably already happening. And why I say that is, everybody has this thought. I guess it's the American way of thinking of, we want it right now, right now, right now. If you need something, you want something, go take a loan, get it right now. If you need a tire for your car, you don't have enough money, you go take out a loan, get that tire for your car. I mean, it's a right now way of thinking. So the same principles come when you're thinking about economic collapse. You think that you're going to go to bed tonight, everything's going to be fine. You wake up tomorrow and your dollar is not worth $1, and suddenly you can't buy gas, bread, groceries, anything, nothing. You can't buy anything. People who are still trying to sell it are now trying to sell their goods for outrageous amounts of fake paper money that you believe was worth anything. Now, I guess part of my extremist conspiracy theories, if you watched my last video, you know what I'm talking about there, but part of my conspiracy theories is that your dollar isn't really worth anything anyway. And this is something I have tried to explain before, not on the video, but to other people. It's caused most of my family to completely stop talking to me because they're all a bunch of damn snowflakes, and I said, damn, oops, sorry. I guess I'll have to make this video rated adult now because I said a D word, right? But anyway, my family is a bunch of, yeah, we'll leave it there. They think I'm crazy. They really do, because I got on Facebook back when I used to still have Facebook, and I said, I made a very long, very elegant post about how, just the gist of it, I believe that everyone is a slave, and everyone in the United States is a slave to the dollar bill and the people who control the dollar bills. And this made many members of my family go absolutely crazy and start yelling at me on Facebook. And I didn't delete my Facebook right then. It was probably a year later after I told them all what I thought about them, which, was one of these fingers. But yeah, I'll let you figure that out. But back to the topic of economic collapse, not my retarded family, is that it's going to happen. We're already seeing it. You already see it in the grocery store. You can see that the prices of food are going up. You can see that the quantities of food in boxes are going down. Prices are on the rise all across the board, all across the globe. Everything. Prices are going up or portions are going down. You do not have another option with pretty much any good, except for meat right now. I've noticed that it has gotten cheaper, and that's just because the grains that are required to feed the animals are no longer available, or not as available as they were last year due to the lack of crops that are growing. Therefore, farmers are having to, what they call culling the herd. They're lowering the amount of animals they have by butchering them and selling them at market as meat, in case you didn't know where meat came from. So that has lowered meat prices. Meat prices have gone down because of that. One plus, right? So I guess the point of that little statement is, if you have the ability or knowledge on how to preserve meat for long periods of time, dry it out, make jerky, things like that, you might want to get on it. Beef is really cheap right now, so go grab it. Store it, can it, dry it, freeze dry it if you have the $2,000 freeze drying machine. Yeah, any of those. But back to economic collapse itself. all the mathematicians and all those people agree that it is an inevitability. It is coming. American way of life. They believe it's going to just be here. It's not. It's already here. It really is. If you're paying attention to anything, you will have noticed that we're right into it. Our money used to be based on gold. I believe I don't remember exactly when it changed. 60s, 50s. I don't remember exactly. Somewhere in that era. It used to be based on gold, so basically every dollar you had was a credit toward how much gold it was worth, because that's how much gold your government was controlling throughout the world and how much they had. It's a firm belief by most conspiracy theorists, and I probably would go with it. It's probably true that Fort Knox, where we kept most of the nation's gold for a very long period of time, there's no longer any there. There was one of those, what was a Die Hard movie where they had all this gold in the Federal Reserve or something like that in New York. That's a lie. Federal Reserve doesn't hold gold. Federal Reserve isn't even a federal agency. It's a privately owned bank. Keep that in mind. But yeah, now our money's based on oil. So every dollar, I guess, and this is the simple way of looking at it, is every dollar that you have is a credit toward how much oil that we control, or anyway, something like that. And the standard for the globe is the US dollar for buying oil. There's a lot of countries, Iran, for instance, that no longer want to use the US dollar for purchasing and selling of oil. They would prefer to use their own currency or a different type of currency. A lot of them are leaning toward the cryptocurrencies or the digital currencies like Bitcoin. And because countries like that are doing that now, you're looking at countries like ours trying to go to war with them. They claim it's over, what is it over? I don't know. Nuclear weapons, I think what it was. Same thing with, what was that, Iraq, way back in the Bush era, nuclear weapons, or what's that? I don't remember. Anyway, it's always oil. They always claim weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. Let's go take their oil. Well, no. So if you understand anything about economics, of how the system works, you would understand that being trillions of dollars in debt and not having really a firm answer on who that debt is owed to, look it up, because I've tried to look at who do we owe trillions of dollars to. You won't get a direct answer. You'll see a lot of vague answers, and it's probably not just one country or set of people or group that we owe. It's probably pretty much everybody, because it's trillions of dollars. I mean, seriously, if I owed trillions of dollars to somebody, I would probably file bankruptcy. I'm sure you would too. There is no way I'm ever paying off trillions of dollars. And the government doesn't make trillions of dollars to pay it off. I mean, even with all the taxes from all the people in this country, even if they took all of it and tried to pay on the debt, they would not pay it off in a single year. So, like I said, if you know anything about economics, then you know that we are... Oh, what's the term I could use for this? SOL. Yeah, SOL. If you don't know what SOL stands for, look it up. You'll get it. Because we are on the verge of bartering systems, I believe. What's going to happen, and this is of course my speculation and educated guessing from reading history books and things like that, what will happen, and this has happened in other countries that have experienced it, upon economic collapse, all the prices for everything is going to go skyrocket. It's going to be $1,000 for a loaf of bread. You're not going to have $1,000 for a loaf of bread, and even if you did, why would you waste money on something as easily ruined as a piece of bread anyway? Buy something in a can. But the point of it is your dollar's not even going to be worth the paper it's printed on. They say it currently it costs less to print a dollar than an actual dollar cost, but I don't see that being possible. I mean, if you look at special paper, special ink, magnetic strips, the plates they use, they have to replace once every 3 months or something. Anyway, the point of the matter is it's not feasibly possible for a dollar to cost less than a dollar to manufacture, even in bulk. It's just not. But anyway, that's just beside the point. The point of the matter is your dollar isn't worth the paper it's printed on, even as it stands. It's not. It's a trust system. You believe that dollar is worth a dollar. So you believe that if you go into a store and you buy something for that dollar, that they will give it to you because they believe also that dollar is worth something. It's a faith system. It's a trust system. It's not a real system. It's not. I mean, if it was a real system, then how can you go to a bank with a piece of paper that has numbers and somebody's signature on it, a check, and hand it to them, and suddenly you look on a screen on your phone or computer or whatever you use, and that number that that person had wrote on that thing now appears on that screen? There was no actual money involved. It's all just numbers. So they take the numbers from that check and they take it out of one person's account and they put it in your account. You never actually seen money, and that's what it's all going to go to at some point anyway. So like I was on the subject here of what I think is going to happen after economic collapse. So like I said, the prices are all going to skyrocket. People are going to start bartering. Well, okay, I'm not going to give you $1,000 for that loaf of bread, but I will give you this 3 bottles of water. And that's what your system is going to turn into immediately following the realization that your money is no longer valuable. And that's not going to be an overnight thing. I mean, we're getting to it, like I said, very slowly. We're building up to it as it is, and eventually it's just going to snap. It will snap. And the prices are going up steadily right now, but there will be a massive price increase. It will be a somewhat instant kind of thing. To people who are not paying attention, it will seem like it was very sudden, but it's not going to be a sudden thing. Prices are even right now going up. So after the prices go up to where it's not feasible to use your paper anymore, or after you've run out of it, because when I say paper, I mean your actual paper bills, because upon economic collapse, your digital numbers on that screen are not going to be valuable at all either. I mean, economic collapse means that no other country will accept your money. No other country thinks your money is valuable. Even your own government won't accept your money because they don't think it's valuable. So if you walked up to a government agent and said, hey, or a government facility and said, I would like to buy a piece of bread for this $1, they're going to say, well, that $1 is not worth nothing. But what you can do is you can go over here and you can do this manual labor job, and we will give you this bread 3 times a day as long as you continue doing that job 16 hours a day. Oh, your back hurts? Oh, I guess you're not eating today. Slavery. So, I have said this for many years, and like I said, my family's crazy, and they think I'm a nut because I said it. Your dollar makes you a slave. If you are not a slave to your money, and that includes the paper money and the digital money, the cards you have in your wallet or your pocket or your purse, if you are not a slave to that money, then don't spend it for 1 year. If you can go 1 whole year without spending $1, because you can self-sustain, trade, barter, or otherwise acquire the things you need to sustain your life, food, water, shelter, if you can have all those things without using dollars, then you are not a slave. That's my opinion. And that really ticks people off when I say that, because when you actually think about it and you actually logically look at it, then yes, we are all slaves. Because we cannot have anything we need. It's not even about the things we want, but anything we need, we cannot have it without the dollar. And we cannot have $1 unless we do something the majority of us don't want to do to get it. I do not want to sit in this truck 12 to 14 to sometimes 15 hours a day to get paid so I can eat. That's slavery. That is slavery. You may not think it as forced labor because you have a choice of careers. You have a choice of what job you want or what job you're going to do currently. After economic collapse, you will not have that choice. If you have certain skills, you will be put to work. You will be given what you need for trading for your labor. It's not just going to be the government that does that. It's going to be everyone. If somebody owns a food bank and they have it stocked full of canned food and they know they have a lifetime supply and they're not ever going to be worried and they have enough for everybody and then some, they're not just going to give it to you. You're going to need to work for it. You're going to need to build a fence around the place. You're going to need to guard the place. You're going to need, whatever the job may be. There's going to be jobs. You're going to have to work for your food. That's just basically economic collapse. Economic collapse doesn't mean that you're not going to have food and we're all going to starve to death. A lot of people probably will die, but it's going to be medicated. It's medication that's going to cause most of it, because upon economic collapse, you no longer have people working to create the medication. So therefore, the medications are running low. So people who are dependent on medication is probably going to have a lot of trouble very early on, and over a long period of time, no. So, following economic collapse, and this is going to be one of those extremist conspiracy theories, is my thoughts on economic collapse is that it's intentional. If you look at history back in the 1930s when the Federal Reserve was created in the middle of the night on a holiday while all the other senators and congressmen were off, at home, the 12 elitists got together, they created the Federal Reserve. Ever since then, we've had things like inflation and higher taxes, illegal taxes, things like that. Illegal taxes. Conspiracy theory, if you actually read any laws, there is not a single law that says you have to pay income tax, yet there are a bunch of people in prison for not paying them. They didn't break any law. Why are they in prison? Slavery. That's why. So, this video is starting to run long because economic collapse is one of those points that can take forever to talk about. I guess what's left is to prepare for economic collapse. I mean, if you're not already prepared, you're really behind because we are there. Everything is falling apart. I mean, they sugarcoat it so you don't see it, but it is. It's falling apart. Open your eyes and look around, you'll see. Store food and water and ammunition. Those are the three things that are most important. Why do I say ammunition? Because you're going to need to defend your food, and you probably will need to hunt more food, if that's even possible. Back in the Great Depression, white-tailed deer, squirrel, rabbit, things like that, they were hunted to near extinction. And some of those probably were actually extinct in this country due to the Great Depression. They were probably just repopulated from species from other countries. But point of the matter is it will happen again. There's not going to be a lot of things to hunt or anything like that. If you don't know how to grow a garden, and if you don't have chickens, rabbits. I don't have chickens currently. They won't let me have chickens in the area I live in. I can have rabbits. I can have dogs. I could probably have a horse, but I can't have chickens. That don't make no sense. So my next goal is to put up a privacy fence and get chickens anyway, because I don't really care what they think. But I guess that's about all I'm going to have for this video today. Economic collapse is a real thing. It is going to happen. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt. And I cannot emphasize this enough. It is coming. And you could label me as one of those extremists, right? It's going to be grim. People are going to starve. They're going to get desperate. They're going to get violent. This is what happens if you've ever read history. This is what happens in any kind of disaster. Look at Katrina. How many people got shot in that dome? It's grim. Keep that in mind. Prepare now. You won't have time later. So have a good one. That's it for me.